The day after India's 75th independence, folks, it's not a good day for Indian sports in general. The AIFF has been suspended by FIFA because they could not hold the elections in time, and also because of third-party interference. So this ban, this suspension is really a body blow for Indian football. In this video, I'm going to give you the timeline, the backdrop, and what is the impact that it will have on Indian football because of this FIFA suspension. Now, when did it all begin? The roots of this lay in 2011 when the India Sports Code was announced. The Sports Code Bill was announced. Every party, every federation had to sign on that Sports Code Bill. Now, what was the major bone of contention when it came to the AIFF? AIFF had a president for 13 years. Praful Patel had 3 4-year terms. Now, according to the Sports Code Bill, you cannot have more than two consecutive 4-year terms. But Praful Patel already had 3. So that was the first starting point of trouble because no fresh elections were going to be held. And that led to a major chain of events in the last couple of months which ensured that this day would be seen by a lot of Indian football fans. No elections, no fresh elections were held ever since 2020 under the guise of the coronavirus pandemic. But the AIFF did not even have the intent to hold fresh elections. So in May, Supreme Court came in and they disbanded the AIFF committee. So that meant there was no AIFF running the show. There was a 3-member committee of administrators who were appointed. So that was the first sign towards the path of doom. Now, who were the members in the AIFF that formed part of the Committee of Administrators? There was former Supreme Court Judge A.R. Dave, there was ex-India football captain Bhaskar Ganguly, and there was the former Chief Election Commissioner S.Y. Qureshi. Now, things were starting to look up. There was a hope that fresh elections could be held and there would be a roadmap. Because what was the clear mandate given for the Committee of Administrators? Hold new elections, finalize the constitution, and then present it to the FIFA and AFC as soon as possible. That is the key word. Present it as soon as possible. But with the appointment of the Committee of Administrators in June 2022, more trouble arose. One fails to understand why the Committee of Administrators even took this step. Because the Committee of Administrators created a new council of 12 familiar faces. And Ranjit Bajaj, who was the owner of one of the Indian football clubs, was also in the council and he was going to be the chairman of the council. Now, this contravened FIFA's rules, which said that FIFA is against the third-party interference. Within the COA, this council was actually a third-party interference. So, knowing the rules, why did the Committee of Administrators do this? It really begs the question. In June, this happened. And what was the domino effect of that? The advisory panel was immediately disbanded in June itself. And Bajaj's appointment, apparently, Ranjit Bajaj's appointment had ruffled a lot of old-time veterans who were there in the AIFF. So it had to lead to a stalemate, it had to lead to a total chaos within the system, and that is why the COA advisory panel was disbanded. Time was also running out now for the AIFF. Now, what happened? Praful Patel, who was already president for 3 4-year terms, was back in the picture in August. What was he doing? He held meetings with 35 members of the state associations, and that was the main reason why the Committee of Administrators decided to file contempt petition against Praful Patel in the Supreme Court. What was their main accusation? The COA had accused Patel of interfering with administration of justice. Now, there is a stalemate. The COA is not able to move forward. They had already arranged for some meetings with the stakeholders to chart a new course for the elections and for the constitution. And there was hope that perhaps the AIFF could escape the suspension. It was always lurking, remember folks, in the background. Because ever since 2020, no new elections, no proper roadmap. And that is the main reason why the fear of suspension always lurked. But just when the clock went past midnight at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. on August 16th, this happened. FIFA released a statement and it clearly said, we hereby inform you that as a result of the decision taken by the Bureau of the FIFA Council on 14th August, the AIFF has been suspended in accordance with Article 16 of the FIFA statutes. So, from effect from 14th August itself, the AIFF has lost all its membership rights. The AIFF representative and club teams are therefore no longer entitled to take part in international competitions. The axe had to fall and it finally fell. Now, how big an impact will this FIFA suspension be on AIFF? Immediately, the hosting rights of the Women's Under-17 World Cup is gone. The tournament was supposed to be held in October, but now, as it stands, if the status quo remains, the tournament is gone from India's hands. Even if it is held in a different country, India will not be able to participate because the national teams, men and women, as well as every single age group that represents India, cannot participate. Clubs cannot compete in continental tournaments. Indian clubs cannot participate in continental tournaments like the AFC Asia Cup, the AFC Cup. They can't do that now. Whatever new players, foreign players that they want to sign from this point on, from August 14th on, they cannot sign any new foreign players. And there is uncertainty over AFC competitions. India had just qualified for the AFC Cup after a pretty long gap. Now, because of this, they cannot participate. If the COA and every entity that is associated with Indian football does not get its act right now, you will lose out on the Women's Under-17 World Cup as well as AFC participation across all spectrums, club and national. So, Indian football will go 10 steps back rather than 1 step forward. But why did the AIFF suspend? Why was it suspended now? Because considering the fact that elections were going to be held on August 28th, why did they suspend them even then? Well, according to media reports, FIFA wanted the elections to be held on July 31. As I had mentioned, ASAP, the roadmap as well as framing of new elections and the constitution had to be done at a certain time frame. And that is why July 31 was the date by which FIFA wanted to hold the elections. But because India's COA was caught up in an administrative tussle, there was a logjam and there was a total stalemate on how to proceed ahead. They missed the deadline. Now what next? Can the suspension be lifted? A slight ray of hope for all you football fans? Yes. The suspension can be lifted. It can be lifted immediately. The Supreme Court will have a hearing on that on 17th August, that is tomorrow. FIFA wants the committee of administrators in the AIFF to be disbanded. Clear cut. Because that is the only way forward and that is the way how a third party interference can be avoided. Because remember, the AIFF is a single entity. The COA is from the outside, nominated by the Supreme Court. So they have to really change their own law in that way. That we will come to know on August 17th. What is the way forward now? Will the elections on August 28th be held in a free and fair manner, in a transparent manner? It remains to be seen. But as of now, India is suspended by FIFA. And that is 10 steps back. However, the suspension can be lifted. Because remember, even in this, if you have to look at the statement, it is that AIFF has been suspended. It has not been banned. So we are going by the FIFA statement itself. That's a suspension. A suspension can be lifted immediately. It can take a couple of months. It can take a couple of years. The same goes with a ban. The ban can be immediately lifted. And let's hope that Indian football, the axe had to fall. Perhaps when we reach rock bottom, we only learn the lessons in that particular point in time. So it's a very, very sad day for Indian football fans. It's a very sad day and it once again shows why India's administrative system when it comes to sports needs to shape up or they will be shipped out. Thank you so much, folks, for listening to the special live. We'll be back with more explainers and more analysis in the world of sports. Press the like, comment, and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to download the SportsTalk app as well as the SportsTalk website for all the latest news and analysis. Thank you. Bye-bye.